Okay, I have some very bad news for you. If you're bullish today, but you weren't bullish yesterday, very bad news. I'll explain why at the end of this video, but first we have $75 million worth of Bitcoin shorts liquidated in like a 60-minute period during that rise up. So what does that mean? Once again, it's just gamblers losing money, betting with money that they don't have that Bitcoin is going to go down. That's essentially what it is. So it's meaningless, but it is good to get rid of some of these guys because the less leverage in Bitcoin, the healthier it can rise. But I'm not so sure that this dip is over, or this prior dip is over, but we've been dollar cost averaging. Definitely check us out at learningcrypto.com if you want to see what we've been dollar cost averaging in. And usually I don't dollar cost average during a bull market, like a full-on bull market, but considering some prices out there, I was like, okay, this is too good to pass up. All right, so also we had a $3.5 trillion added to the US stock market following the 90-day tariff pause. So what happened? Trump's like, hey, I'll give 90 days or whatever for the tariffs. And so the markets really like that. So what is that creating? It's probably creating a lot of instability in global relations for sure, like just unease. And markets hate unease. And that's essentially why the market is falling. So here's another thing. Trump might have been selling ETH at the bottom or near the bottom. Check this out. So this is from us at Crypto Tips Real. Has Trump World Liberty Financial started selling ETH at a loss? According to Akram, a wallet possibly linked to World Liberty Financial, which doesn't have any Bitcoin, just has pretty much ETH, has sold 5,471 ETH, which was $8 million at a price of $1,465. Yeah, that's pretty wild. So that on-chain data you can find at Look On Chain on Twitter. So yeah, fascinating. Like why would they be selling that only $8 million? Pretty much nothing compared to their entire net worth. But what's interesting here is Trump wants a $1 trillion military budget. 1 trillion, guys. So I don't care what Doge is doing. I don't care what anything else is doing. This is just another arm of the Federal Reserve. Every single president in mind since I've been alive, since my parents have been alive, grandparents, whatever, they're all puppets of the Federal Reserve. So what should you expect here? Tons and tons of currency printing like you've never seen before, okay? This is going to get absolutely out of control with the amount of currency that's going to be printed, especially when interest rates do get lower. They're going to feel like the need just print. And that's what's going to happen. And especially now that, these tariffs are going to kick in and, there's supposedly going to be tax cuts, there's probably going to be a huge amount of currency printing as well. Any excuse for the Federal Reserve to print currency, they're going to take it. They're going to be so happy with it. And the Federal Reserve right now is laughing. Okay, so here's an interesting thing that I need to bring up one more time. The last time the market dropped 9.5% in 2 days, remember global markets fell about 10% on average. The Fed unleashed a multi-trillion-dollar bailout of the economy, including a $500 billion in QE, which is quantitative easing, which is a fancy word for currency printing, $1 trillion daily repo, and tens of billions in junk bond ETF purchases. What does this mean? Just more currency printing. I know that I sound like kind of a broken record, but I don't hear enough of this. Like, this is why Bitcoin thrives. This is why one of the reasons why the cypherpunks built Bitcoin is because of the out of control currency printing. And that is why Satoshi made 21 million Bitcoin instead of the US dollar, which is just a scam coin of unlimited supply. What are you going to trust? I trust Satoshi a lot more than a freaking bunch of psychopaths that run the show at the Federal Reserve, okay? Now, global debt has increased 75-fold between 1971 and 2021. This is Egon von Geiras. So I know I've said this before, but you have to understand where we are going. So today it stands at approximately $360 trillion, not billion, 360 trillion. That's ridiculous amount of currency that's been printed, and you haven't seen anything yet. You might be thinking, what is the end game for this? Well, I've made several videos. Heidi and I have actually made several videos of pretty much why they're imploding these currencies. That's essentially what's happening. You know, the average lifespan for a currency is about 50 years old. Right now, the US dollar, I think it's about 53 or 54 years old from 1971. So that is like the change from the gold standard. You know, the US dollar used to be backed by gold under Nixon. It was changed to just nothing, just backed by absolutely nothing. And people were somewhat kind of happy about that. And now the US dollar has lost about 98% of its value since then. So you don't have anything backed by anything, I mean, other than force, military force and coercion, then yeah, your currency is going to lose a lot of currency, a lot of percent. Now, Bitcoin has just closed its worst Q1 in a decade. And you know what? Here's the thing. If you've been bearish on this, this drop right here, and now you're bullish, you're not going to make it. You're simply not going to make it. You're going to lose money, just like many of your friends probably during this last dip, because you have too much emotion in this space. And I get kind of reamed because people are like, well, you got into Bitcoin really early and now you can just sit back and chill. Well, the reason why, like, I hadn't sold any Bitcoin for over a decade until like recently was because I was able to take my emotions out of the market. Even when I was dirt poor living on the floor, that was my story, guys. And until now, like, I understood Bitcoin, I understood the value of Bitcoin, regardless of what mainstream media said, regardless of what short-term price movements said. Okay, I didn't look at charts and go, okay, I'm gonna sell my Bitcoin because I think it's over. Guys, I rode this stuff up and down so many different times. 35, 50%, 60%, 70%. I mean, and the list goes on. And I took my emotions out. And I guess the only hard part was having my friends and family think I was an idiot. And it was like, okay, I'm losing friends off over this, but you know what? I know that I'm right and they're wrong, and eventually they're going to ask for help. And that's what has been happening. So with that said, take your emotions out of this game, because if you have a longer term mindset, if you have more than a 5-year outlook on Bitcoin or crypto, you're going to do really well, guys. You know, like, stop listening to these guys that always, like, just so emotional on Twitter, okay? These guys are just trying to play in your emotions. For us at learningcrypto.com, I'm emotionless. I'm like, I look at the data, I go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Heidi's laughing back there because she knows that it's totally true. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm very happy during a dip. I was actually hoping for lower prices, and I hope we get lower prices. And you know what? I'm going to be just as bullish then as I am now. If you want that type of mindset, follow us. Talk to you soon.